Fred Perry and Don Budge defined pre-war tennis in the 1930s, clashing at the highest levels with national pride at stake. In the 1936 Wimbledon final, Perry, representing Great Britain, dismantles Budge in straight sets 6-1, 6-1, 6-0, securing his third consecutive Wimbledon title and becoming the first British man to win since 1909. Perry's victory cements his reputation as the era's dominant force, while Budge, only 21 at the time, absorbs the defeat and recalibrates his approach for future encounters. The lopsided scoreline at Wimbledon signals Perry's technical superiority on grass, but also sets the stage for Budge's rapid improvement. 2 years later, at the 1938 U.S. Championships, Don Budge reverses the narrative, defeating Perry 6-1, 6-3, 6-2 in the final. This victory is not just personal redemption. It marks the culmination of Budge's historic Grand Slam run, as he becomes the first player in tennis history to win all four major titles in a single calendar year. Both men dominate the pre-war tennis landscape, but Budge's achievement in 1938 establishes a new benchmark for excellence in the sport. Their rivalry, brief but intense, transitions the spotlight from Perry's British breakthrough to Budge's pioneering Grand Slam sweep, setting up the next era of tennis rivalries. Ken Rosewall and Lou Hoad, both born in Sydney, grow up as childhood friends before evolving into fierce rivals on the world stage. Their head-to-head battles define Australian tennis in the 1950s, with both players contesting major finals at the 1956 Australian, French, and Wimbledon Championships. Hoad claims the 1956 Wimbledon title by defeating Rosewall 6-2, 4-6, 7-5, 6-4, using his powerful serve and volley game to edge out his compatriot in one of the era's most anticipated finals. Meanwhile, Rosewall secures the upper hand at the 1953 French Championships, winning 6-2, 6-4, 6-4, and establishing himself as a clay court specialist early in his career. Their rivalry is marked not just by the number of finals they contest, but by the contrast in their playing styles and the closeness of their matches. Both men represent Australia in Davis Cup play, often as teammates, but their individual ambitions drive them to push each other to new heights. Hoad's career, however, is cut short by chronic back injuries, preventing him from fully realizing his potential and limiting the number of their high-stakes encounters. Because of this, Rosewall goes on to enjoy a longer, more decorated career, but their clashes in the mid-1950s remain a benchmark for Australian tennis rivalries. The baton soon passes to the next generation, with Rod Laver and Ken Rosewall taking center stage in the years that follow. Rod Laver and Ken Rosewall shaped the landscape of professional tennis in the 1960s, meeting over 100 times across all formats and surfaces. Laver achieves the rare feat of winning the calendar year Grand Slam twice, first in 1962 as an amateur, and again in 1969 after the dawn of the Open era. Their rivalry peaks at the majors, with Rosewall taking the 1968 French Open final by a score of 6-3, 6-1, 2-6, 6-2, marking the first Grand Slam tournament open to professionals and amateurs alike. This victory signals Rosewall's adaptability and longevity, as he claims his sixth major title 15 years after his first. Laver responds by dominating the 1969 Wimbledon final, defeating Rosewall 6-4, 6-3, 6-4 on his way to completing his second Grand Slam. The contrast in their playing styles, Laver's explosive left-handed forehand and two-handed backhand versus Rosewall's compact lefty slice, adds tactical intrigue to each encounter. Because both men spend years on the Pro Tour before the Open era, their rivalry extends beyond the majors, with dozens of high-stakes matches shaping their legacies. As the 1970s begin, Laver's Grand Slam achievement and Rosewall's consistent excellence set the standard for the next era of tennis champions. Bjorn Borg and Jimmy Connors face off 23 times during their careers, including 8 Grand Slam encounters that defined men's tennis in the late 1970s. Their rivalry centers on the contrast between Borg's calm, methodical baseline play and Connors' aggressive, high-energy approach. In the 1977 Wimbledon final, Borg overcomes Connors in a 5-set battle 3-6, 6-2, 6-1, 5-7, 6-4, demonstrating his adaptability and endurance on grass. Connors, meanwhile, claims a pivotal victory at the 1976 U.S. Open, defeating Borg 6-4, 3-6, 7-6, 6-4, and reinforcing his status as a dominant force on hard courts. The rivalry is shaped by their differing strengths on various surfaces, with Borg excelling on clay and grass, while Connors thrives on faster hard courts. Each match between them carries implications for the No. 1 ranking, as both men trade major titles and year-end honors throughout the late 1970s. Because their playing styles are so distinct, every meeting draws global attention and fuels debate over the ideal approach to the modern game. As the rivalry intensifies, the arrival of John McEnroe adds a new dimension to the Grand Slam landscape. Bjorn Borg and John McEnroe meet 14 times at the height of their careers, splitting their head-to-head 7-7 and producing some of the most memorable matches in Grand Slam history. Their 1980 Wimbledon final stands out, with Borg prevailing 1-6, 7-5, 6-3, 6-7, 8-6 after a legendary fourth-set tiebreak that McEnroe claims 18-16. The match, lasting nearly 4 hours, showcases Borg's resilience and McEnroe's relentless attack. As both players push each other to their physical and mental limits, this encounter cements Borg's status as a 5-time Wimbledon champion and elevates McEnroe's reputation as a challenger capable of disrupting the established order. The rivalry continues with McEnroe's victory at the 1981 US Open, where he defeats Borg 4-6, 6-2, 6-4, 6-3, denying the Swede a career Grand Slam on American soil. Because their meetings are so evenly matched, each contest feels decisive for the era's balance of power. Borg's sudden retirement at age 26 leaves the rivalry unfinished, with fans and analysts debating how many more classics they might have produced. As McEnroe ascends to the top of the game, his battles with Jimmy Connors become the next focal point in Grand Slam tennis. John McEnroe and Jimmy Connors clash 34 times throughout their careers, including 7 Grand Slam meetings that define American men's tennis in the early 1980s. Their rivalry is marked by contrasting personalities and playing styles, with McEnroe's deft touch and attacking net play set against Connors' relentless baseline aggression. The 1984 Wimbledon final highlights McEnroe's dominance, as he dispatches Connors 6-1, 6-1, 6-2 in just 80 minutes, recording one of the most lopsided championship victories in tournament history. This result cements McEnroe's position at the top of the sport and underscores the gap between the two at their respective peaks. Connors, however, records a significant win at the 1982 Wimbledon final, outlasting McEnroe 3-6, 6-3, 6-7, 7-6, 6-4 in a match that stretches over 4 hours and features dramatic swings in momentum. Their encounters are often punctuated by trash talk, heated exchanges, and on-court fireworks, making each match a spectacle for fans and media alike. Although both are American left-handers, their approaches and temperaments are polar opposites, which only intensifies the competitive edge between them. As McEnroe and Connors battle for supremacy, the women's game is simultaneously being transformed by the rivalry between Martina Navratilova and Chris Evert. Martina Navratilova and Chris Evert meet a staggering 80 times during their careers, including 60 finals and 14 Grand Slam championship matches, making theirs the most prolific rivalry in tennis history. Navratilova edges the overall head-to-head 43-37, but the balance of power shifts multiple times as both women dominate the sport from the mid-1970s through the late 1980s. Evert, known for her consistency and precision from the baseline, claims 7 French Open titles and cements her reputation as the Queen of Clay. Navratilova, meanwhile, redefines the women's game with her athleticism and net play, winning a record 9 Wimbledon singles titles. Their Grand Slam encounters are often tightly contested, with the 1985 French Open final standing out as a classic. Evert prevails 6-3, 6-7, 7-5, snapping Navratilova's 13-match winning streak in their head-to-head and reclaiming her place at the top of the clay hierarchy. Because their rivalry features such contrasting styles, Evert's patience versus Navratilova's aggression each match draws massive audiences and pushes both players to elevate their games. As the Navratilova-Evert era winds down, a new generation led by Steffi Graf and Monica Seles begins to reshape the women's Grand Slam landscape. Steffi Graf and Monica Seles face each other 15 times, including 10 Grand Slam clashes that dominate women's tennis in the early 1990s. Both players hold the world No. 1 ranking and frequently exchange major titles, with Seles breaking through by defeating Graf 7-6, 6-4 in the 1990 French Open final at just 16 years old. Graf responds by overpowering Seles in the 1992 Wimbledon final, winning 6-2, 6-1 and reasserting her dominance on grass. Their rivalry is defined by sharp contrasts in playing style. Graf's powerful forehand and athleticism versus Seles's relentless two-handed ground strokes from both wings. The rivalry's trajectory changes dramatically in 1993, when Seles is stabbed by a spectator during a tournament in Hamburg, forcing her out of the sport for over 2 years. This incident derails what many expect to be a decade-long battle for Grand Slam supremacy, as Seles had claimed 8 major titles before her 20th birthday. Because both players continue to win slams after Seles's return, the rivalry remains relevant, but the sense of what might have been lingers over every encounter. As the Graf-Seles era winds down, the men's game sees a new American rivalry take center stage, with Pete Sampras and Andre Agassi. Pete Sampras and Andre Agassi meet 34 times during their careers, including 5 Grand Slam finals that helped define men's tennis in the 1990s. Their rivalry is built on starkly contrasting styles, with Sampras relying on a dominant serve and volley game and Agassi countering with aggressive baseline play and exceptional return skills. Sampras claims a signature victory at the 1999 Wimbledon final, defeating Agassi 6-3, 6-4, 7-5 to secure his 6th title at the All England club and reinforce his reputation as the era's premier grasscourt player. Meanwhile, Agassi captures the 1995 Australian Open, overcoming Sampras for 2-6, 6-1, 7-6, 6-4, and demonstrating his ability to win on hard courts. Their matches are often tightly contested, with the 2001 US Open quarterfinal standing out as a classic. Neither player manages a service break, and all 4 sets are decided by tea breaks. Because both men consistently reach the latter stages of majors, their head-to-head battles frequently determine the sport's biggest prizes and the World No. 1 ranking. The enduring appeal of their rivalry lies in the clash of personalities and tactics, as Sampras's quiet efficiency contrasts with Agassi's flair and charisma. As the Sampras-Agassi era winds down, a new generation of power and athleticism emerges with the rise of the Williams sisters and the dawn of the Federer-Nadal rivalry. Venus Williams and Martina Hingis meet 21 times, including 8 Grand Slam matches, as they battle for supremacy at the turn of the millennium. Hingis, who becomes the youngest World No. 1 at age 16 in 1997, initially dominates the rivalry. Hingis beat Williams 6-0, 6-4 in the 1997 US Open final to claim her 3rd major of the year. The matchup highlights the contrast between Hingis's tactical precision and Venus's emerging power game, a shift that signals the changing dynamics in women's tennis. As Venus develops her serve and athleticism, she begins to close the gap, using her physicality to challenge Hingis's court craft. The rivalry reaches a turning point at the 2000 US Open semifinal, where Venus overcomes Hingis for 2-6, 6-3, 7-5, marking her rival as a Grand Slam contender and paving the way for her first US Open title. Because the Williams sisters usher in a new era of speed and strength, the balance of power in the women's game shifts decisively away from Hingis's finesse-driven style. As Venus and Serena rise to prominence, the tour landscape transforms, setting the stage for the historic sibling rivalry that soon takes center stage. Venus and Serena Williams face each other 31 times in professional competition, including 9 Grand Slam finals, creating the most high-profile sibling rivalry in tennis history. Serena leads their head-to-head 19-12. With many of their meetings occurring on the sport's biggest stages. The 2002 French Open final marks a milestone, as Serena defeats Venus 7-5, 6-3 to capture her first Roland Garros title and complete the Serena Slam by holding all 4 major trophies. Simultaneously, their rivalry is unprecedented not only for its frequency, but also for its significance. They are the first sisters to contest a Grand Slam final since 1884. The dynamic between Venus and Serena is shaped by both family drama and mutual respect, as each pushes the other to new heights while maintaining a close personal bond. Their matches often draw global attention, with fans and commentators dissecting every point and storyline. Because their rivalry spans more than a decade, it tracks the evolution of women's tennis from the late 1990s into the 2010s, with both sisters holding the World No. 1 ranking. and amassing multiple major titles. As the Williams era continues, the women's game prepares for the emergence of new rivalries and the next wave of champions. Serena Williams and Maria Sharapova meet 22 times in their careers, including 10 Grand Slam matches that attract global attention and media scrutiny. Serena dominates the rivalry, leading 22-2 overall, but the dynamic is set in motion by Sharapova's stunning 6-1, 6-2 for victory in the 2004 Wimbledon final. At just 17, Sharapova becomes the youngest Wimbledon champion since 1887, instantly transforming into a global star and signaling the arrival of a new challenger on the women's tour. This early upset establishes the rivalry's narrative, with Sharapova positioned as the primary threat to Serena's supremacy. However, Serena responds with overwhelming consistency, embarking on a 19-match winning streak against Sharapova from 2004 to 2019. Because their matches frequently occur in the late stages of major tournaments, the rivalry shapes the outcome of Grand Slam draws and highlights the mental and physical demands of elite competition. Serena's power, athleticism, and ability to raise her level in big moments prove decisive, while Sharapova's resilience and marketability keep their encounters in the spotlight. As the Serena-Sharapova rivalry winds down, the women's game continues to evolve, with new stars emerging to challenge for Grand Slam glory. Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal meet 42 times during their storied careers, including 14 Grand Slam matches that shaped the modern era of men's tennis. Nadal leads their overall head-to-head 24-16, consistently challenging Federer's dominance across surfaces. Their rivalry peaks at the 2008 Wimbledon final, widely regarded as one of the greatest matches in history, when Nadal defeats Federer 6-4, 6-4, 6-7, 6-7, 9-7 after nearly 5 hours of play. This victory ends Federer's 5-year Wimbledon reign and marks Nadal's first major title on grass, underscoring the Spaniard's growing versatility. Federer, with a record 8 Wimbledon titles, and Nadal, the undisputed king of clay with 14 French Open crowns, push each other to new heights year after year. Because their strengths are so complementary, Federer's precision and elegance versus Nadal's relentless topspin and athleticism each encounter carries implications for the sport's all-time records and the world No. 1 ranking. Their rivalry not only elevates the quality of men's tennis, but also sets the stage for the arrival of Novak Djokovic, who soon inserts himself into the conversation as the third member of the sport's dominant trio. Nadal and Novak Djokovic meet 59 times, including 18 Grand Slam matches, forming one of the most intense rivalries in tennis history. Djokovic holds a narrow lead of 30-29 overall, reflecting the closely contested nature of their encounters. Their 2012 Australian Open final stands as the longest Grand Slam final ever played, lasting 5 hours and 53 minutes, with Djokovic prevailing 5-7, 6-4, 6-2, 6-7, 7-5. This marathon match highlights both players' physical endurance and mental toughness, setting a new standard for high-stakes competition. Nadal's dominance on clay contrasts with Djokovic's superiority on hard courts, creating a dynamic rivalry shaped by surface specialization. Because each player excels in different conditions, their head-to-head battles often determine the outcome of major tournaments and the world No. 1 ranking. Their ongoing competition pushes both to elevate their games, contributing to an era defined by unprecedented consistency and excellence. As the rivalry evolves, it intersects with the rise of other contenders, adding further complexity to the men's Grand Slam landscape. Roger Federer and Novak Djokovic meet 50 times throughout their careers, including 17 Grand Slam matches that regularly decide the sport's biggest prizes. Djokovic leads their overall head-to-head 27-23, with many of their clashes coming deep in major tournaments. Their rivalry reaches a dramatic peak at the 2019 Wimbledon final, where Djokovic defeats Federer 7-6, 1-6, 7-6, 4-6, 13-12 in the longest singles final in Wimbledon history. This match, lasting nearly 5 hours, sees Federer hold to championship points before Djokovic recovers to claim his 5th title. At the All England Club. Federer, who becomes the oldest world No. 1 in history at age 36 in 2018, and Djokovic, who amasses a record 24 Grand Slam titles, push each other to sustain excellence well into their 30s. Because their strengths, Federer's precision and attacking flair, Djokovic's defensive mastery and mental resilience are so well matched. Their encounters consistently produce high-quality tennis and dramatic momentum swings. Their rivalry not only shapes the outcome of individual majors, but also influences the broader conversation about the greatest player of all time. As the Federer-Djokovic era winds down, the focus shifts to the next generation of stars eager to make their mark on Grand Slam history.
If you enjoyed this, I'm going to be posting a lot here. I would greatly appreciate it if you could like and subscribe for video. Thanks for watching.